Throughout history, the Quran has been a source of authority and guidance for Muslims. But in a world dominated by reason and skepticism, how does this ancient text maintain its authority? In Chapter 7 of The Quran and the Secular Mind, Shabbir Akhtar delves into the enduring authority of the Quran and its challenges in the modern age. Akhtar highlights that the Quran's authority is both spiritual and intellectual. Its verses are not only a source of religious law, but also a guide to understanding the deeper meaning of existence. The authority of the Quran stems from its divine origin, and for Muslims, it remains the ultimate source of truth. In the modern world, where science and reason often challenge religious texts, the Quran's authority is put to the test. Akhtar explores how this tension plays out, as secular critics question the relevance of the Quran in a world governed by empirical science and rational inquiry. Despite the challenges, Akhtar argues that the Quran's authority is not diminished by modern critique. For believers, the Quran is not just a historical document. It's a living revelation that continues to guide and shape their lives, offering moral and spiritual insights that transcend the limitations of human reason. Ultimately, Akhtar suggests that the authority of the Quran lies not just in its content, but in its ability to speak to the human soul. It addresses the deepest questions of life, providing answers that go beyond the reach of reason alone. In the next chapter, Akhtar turns to the Quran's discussion of signs in nature. The Quran invites us to reflect on the world around us, suggesting that divine signs are everywhere for those who are wise enough to perceive them. We explore this profound concept in Chapter 8, A Sign is Enough for the Wise. In a world full of signs, how many of us take the time to truly reflect on them? In Chapter 8 of The Quran and the Secular Mind, Shabbir Akhtar delves into the Quran's call for humanity to observe the natural world and find divine signs in the beauty and complexity of creation. The Quran reminds us that divine signs are all around us, in the heavens, the earth, and within ourselves. Akhtar emphasizes that for the wise, these signs are enough to reveal deeper truths about God's existence and the order of the universe. Reflection, or tafakkur, is a recurring theme in the Quran. Akhtar points out that the Quran doesn't ask for blind faith. It invites us to think, to ponder, and to draw conclusions from the world around us. Through reflection, we uncover the divine wisdom hidden in everyday experiences. But not everyone sees these signs. The Quran distinguishes between the wise, those who reflect and recognize God's signs, and the heedless, those who pass by without thought. Akhtar explores this dichotomy and the spiritual consequences of ignoring the signs that surround us. Sometimes, all it takes is one sign to transform a life. Akhtar reflects on how a single moment of realization can lead to a deep and lasting connection with the divine. For the wise, even the smallest of signs can open the door to profound spiritual insight. But not everyone responds to these signs with belief. In the next chapter, Akhtar examines the various ways in which people reject faith, whether through denial, hypocrisy, or neglect. What drives this rejection, and what are its consequences? We explore these questions in Chapter 9, Faith and the Varieties of Rejection. Faith is not universal. Throughout history, and even today, belief in God and religion has faced rejection in many forms. In Chapter 9 of the Quran and the Secular Mind, Shabbir Akhtar explores the varieties of rejection that people adopt, from outright denial to quiet neglect, and he asks, what drives this rejection? Akhtar highlights that rejection of faith comes in many forms. Some deny the existence of God outright, while others claim belief but fail to act on it. Then there are those who simply ignore the divine message, living as though God and faith are irrelevant to their lives. One of the most dangerous forms of rejection, according to Akhtar, is hypocrisy. The Quran condemns those who outwardly profess faith, but inwardly reject its demands. These individuals seek the benefits of being seen as believers, while their hearts remain distant from true conviction. More common in today's world is the quiet neglect of faith. Akhtar observes that in modern secular societies, many people live as if faith is irrelevant. This form of rejection isn't loud or antagonistic, it's simply passive, a life lived without reference to God or the sacred. Rejection of faith, whether through denial, hypocrisy, or neglect, ultimately has profound consequences. Akhtar reminds us that the Quran warns of the dangers of turning away from divine guidance, both for the individual soul and for society at large. In the next chapter, Akhtar turns to one of the most fundamental questions: what is the nature of the human being? The Quran offers a profound perspective on human nature, its strengths, weaknesses, and the divine purpose behind our creation. We explore this in Chapter 10, Human Nature and the Quran.